How are you all? The topics that we'll discuss today are the main topic is farming in Palampur. We'll see how farming activity takes place in Palampur and what are the various factors that they require for the farming. All these things we'll study. So in that means in the topic farming in Palampur, our subtopics for today are land is fixed. As you know, the land is a kind of resource which is fixed, which cannot be moved and which cannot be changed, you can say, at a very large extent. Then is there a way one can grow more from the same land? So what does this question mean? That can a farmer can grow more crops on the same piece of land by using different techniques? Is it possible to earn more money from that particular land only, uh, using agriculture only? So these two topics we will discuss in detail today. So let us start. When we talk about land is fixed, so I have told you what does it mean. When we say land is fixed means the farmers have limited land, first of all. And most of the farmers, usually we categorize farmers into three categories. The one who is having less than 2 hectares of land, that farmer is known as small farmer. Then we have another category in which the farmer is having land in between 2 to 10 hectares. Those farmers are known as medium farmers or the marginal farmers. And the farmer who is holding the land more than 10 hectares, that farmer is known as big farmer who is holding a big piece of land. So for Palampur village farming is their main production, and the well-being of these people is related to the production of on the farms. But there is a basic constraint. Constraint means limitation. The basic constant and basic limitation is raising farm production. तो farm production को बढ़ाना एक बहुत बड़ा challenge है कि उसी farm में से जो production है वो ज़्यादा हो जाए, तो एक बहुत बड़ा challenge है. लैंड एरिया अंडर कल्टीवेशन इज प्रैक्टिकली फिक्स्ड. जो लैंड एरिया है, जो कल्टीवेशन, वैसे तो लैंड एरिया बहुत होता है आसपास में, वेस्ट लैंड भी बहुत होता है, but the land area which is required for the cultivation means fertile and properly irrigated land, it is very limited in Palampur. Now we will see in our book what it is written. See, farming is the main production activity. In Palampur, 75% of the people who are working are dependent on the farming for their livelihood. They could be farmers for farm laborers or farm laborers. The well-being of these people is closely related to the production on the farms. So when we say the well-being of the people is related only to the production in farm. If we want that people in Palampur should be well off, they should earn good money, their life should be good. So the very foremost thing which is required there, it is the increase in productivity of village Palampur. And how many people are engaged in farming? 75% of population of that village Palampur is completely dependent on the farming. So that is the case in Palampur. But remember that there is a basic constant in raising farm production. Land area under cultivation is practically fixed. So as in previous slide we have also seen, the main basic problem or basic constant, this word constant, when I underline this word constant, this, what does it mean? This means limitation. So this word means limitation. So we can say it is limited, or limitations are known as constant. Limited or limitation. So that is about the constant. Now the land is very much limited, and since 1960 in Palampur there has been no expansion in land area under cultivation. Land area under cultivation means the area which is required for the farming. There has been no significant increase during means since 1960. By then, some of the westlands and village had been covered converted into cultivable land, there exists no further scope to increase farm production by bringing new land under the cultivation. So by then means by 1960 only, some westlands, the land which was near to the village, or you can say the another kind of land which was earlier not in use for the farming, that land was now converted into the farming and under cultivation. But after 1960, no land was converted into the कल्टिवेबल लैंड, ऐसी लैंड जिस पे हम कल्टीवेशन कर पाए, तो ऐसी लैंड को कल्टीवेट नहीं किया गया 1960 से लेके अभी तक। पालमपुर में जो लैंड एरिया है कल्टीवेशन का वो बड़ा नहीं है, वो उतना का उतना ही है। अब नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन यही आता है कि इस लिमिटेड लैंड में हम प्रोडक्शन को कैसे बढ़ाएं। प्रोडक्शन को बढ़ाने के लिए क्या कौन कौन से तरीके अपनाए जा सकते हैं, व्हाट मेथड्स वी कैन ऑप्ट फॉर द greater production and to increase the productivity and ultimately to increase the income of the farmer. The standard unit of measuring land in hectares, though in the village you will may find land area being discussed in the local units such as biga, guintha, etc. and acre also. 1 hectare equals to the area of a square with one side measuring 100 meters. Can you compare the area of 1 hectare field with your area of your school ground? So simply 1 hectare, I'm telling you, in 1 hectare it is 2.48 acres. 2.48 acres are there, and the standard unit of measuring land is hectare. And typically various kind of measurement are used in the villages and local areas, but the standard way to measure a land is acre. So we have seen in Palampur, the land area has not been increased. Now the next question that arises, it is of, is there a way one can grow more from the same land? So first we will discuss these points in presentation, then we will discuss the contest that is written in our book. Yes. So the ways, or you can say how we can grow more crops on the same piece of land. There are basically two ways, or you can say at the primary level, the two ways are there. One is using modern farming technique, and another one is mixed cropping or multiple cropping. So here you will see in the rainy season, Kharif farmers grow jowar and bajra, followed by the cultivation of potato between October and December. So between this time is known as Zaid. There are generally three, or the main two cropping season are there, and in between two main cropping season, one in between shorter period of cropping season is also known as Zaid. So we have Rabi season, which is usually the crops are sown in winter and harvested in summers, and then we have Kharif season, in which the crops are sown in rainy season, and soon after the rainy season the crops are harvested. So in between the time of Rabi and Kharif, we have Zaid season. So here you can see the farmers, Kharif farmers are there, they are growing jowar and bajra, and after growing jowar and bajra, the time which is left during the October and December, they are growing potato. So the jowar, bajra and potato we have seen they are growing. So moreover, you can say the large number of farmers in Palampur, they grow more than two crops in a year. So it is a good way to get more crops from one piece of land, and this is only known as multiple cropping. In winters, farmers grow wheat, and a part of land is devoted to the sugarcane harvested once every year. So in winters, which crop? That is winter season. That it is Rabi cropping season. In this cropping season, they are growing wheat. तो विंटर में वो वीट उगाते हैं, और रेनी सीजन जो कि खरीफ सीजन होता है उसमें वो ज्वार बाजरा उगाते हैं, और इन दोनों के बीच में जो टाइम बच जाता है उसमें वो पोटैटो उगाते हैं। तो यानी कि एक ही साथ एक ही क्रॉप पूरे साल भर में 3 क्रॉप्स का प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है पालमपुर में, इसे हम मल्टीपल क्रॉपिंग भी बोलते हैं। और साथ ही साथ कुछ एरियाज पे जैसे विंटर में वीट उगाई जा रही है, तो वीट के साथ साथ वहां पे शुगर कैन की हार्वेस्टिंग भी हो रही है। सो हाउ मेनी क्रॉप्स वी हैव सीन? ज्वार बाजरा, देन पोटैटो, wheat, and we have seen sugarcane. So in all, 4 crops we are seeing that they are growing in a year. Usually at the large scale, a farmer is growing 3 crops only. Then what is the main reason, what is the you can say the basic reason how they are capable of growing that much crops, or how efficient, how what is the reason behind their efficiency of growing these crops. So the you all know that for growing crops or for the cultivation, the very foremost required thing is irrigation, proper supply of water. तो पानी की प्रॉपर सप्लाई, इरिगेशन फैसिलिटी प्रॉपर हो, ये सबसे पहली नीड होती है क्रॉपिंग के लिए, एग्रीकल्चर के लिए। तो यही एक कारण है कि वहाँ पे जो इरिगेशन फैसिलिटी है बहुत ही प्रॉपर और अच्छी है। इसी की वजह से पालमपुर के जो फार्मर्स हैं पूरे साल भर में 3 क्रॉप्स को कल्टीवेट कर पा रहे हैं। और इरिगेशन फैसिलिटी वहां पर जो है वो प्रॉपर इसलिए कि वहां पर पर्शियन व्हील्स एक टेक्निक होती है जिसकी वजह से मैन्युअली पानी निकाला जाता है वेल से। वो बहुत स्लो टेक्निक होती है। उन पर्शियन व्हील्स को इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के आने की वजह से वो पर्शियन व्हील्स ट्रांसफॉर्म हो गया, मॉडर्न वे ऑफ इरिगेशन उन्होंने अपना लिया क्योंकि वहां पे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी आ गई। तो इन शॉर्ट वी कैन से बिकॉज ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी द प्रोसेस ऑफ इरिगेशन ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड इन पालमपुर। पालमपुर में जो इरिगेशन का तरीका था पूरी तरीके से बदल गया इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के आने की वजह से। और यही एक कारण रहा कि पालमपुर में हम ज्यादा क्रॉप्स यानी कि फार्मर्स ज्यादा क्रॉप उगा पा रहे हैं। ड्यू टू वेल डेवलप्ड इरिगेशन फार्मर्स कैन ग्रो 3 डिफरेंट क्रॉप्स। इलेक्ट्रिसिटी ट्रांसफॉर्म द सिस्टम ऑफ इरिगेशन। देन मल्टीपल क्रॉपिंग मीन्स टू ग्रो मोर देन 1 क्रॉप ऑन अ पीस ऑफ लैंड। मल्टीपल क्रॉपिंग का मतलब होता है एक ही पीस ऑफ लैंड पे एक से ज्यादा क्रॉप अपना। और अब हमने now we have talked about the multiple cropping. Now we will talk about the modern farming. In modern farming, the high yielding variety of seeds are used. These are genetically improved seeds, and when the farmer is using these seeds, the production that farmer get, it is much better than the traditional seeds. So they are high yielding. The name itself says the yield, मतलब जो प्रोडक्शन है वो ज्यादा मिलेगा इन सीड से। और ये सीड्स जो होते हैं ये ओल्ड टेक्निक या जो ट्रेडिशनल टेक्निक के सीड्स होते हैं उनके कंपेटिव इन सीड से प्रोडक्शन बहुत ज्यादा होता है। नियरली 2.5 टाइम्स प्रोडक्शन इन सीड्स में ज्यादा होता है। तो ये भी एक तरीका है जिससे कि सेम पीस ऑफ लैंड पे ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्रॉप्स उगाई जा सकती हैं, प्रोडक्शन किया जा सकता है। सो दिस क्वेश्चन is there a way one can grow more from the same land, and this is the answer of it. So this question and answer you have to write down in your classwork notebook. Now we'll see what is written in our textbook. See, in the kind of crops grown and facilities available, Palampur would resemble a village of the western part of state Uttar Pradesh. So we are not saying that Palampur is in the Uttar Pradesh, but it is resembling. That means वो वहाँ के किसी उत्तर प्रदेश के विलेज के साथ वहाँ की कंडीशंस मिल रही हैं। पालमपुर की जो कंडीशंस हैं वो किसी उत्तर प्रदेश में जो विलेजेस होते हैं, क्योंकि हम ये कैसे पता लगा पा रहे हैं, जो क्रॉप्स वहाँ पे ग्रो की जा रही हैं और जो वहाँ की कंडीशन है उसके अकॉर्डिंग हम ऐसा उसको उत्तर प्रदेश के किसी विलेज के साथ रिसेंबल कर सकते हैं, मिला सकते हैं। All land is cultivated in Palampur. No land is left idle. So all the land is cultivated and no land is left idle. During the rainy season, Kharif, that we have talked in a slide also, that jowar and bajra is grown. These plants are used as a cattle feed. What is cattle feed? To feed the cattle. जो cattles होते हैं यानी कि goat, buffalo, cow, horse, इन cattles को खिलाने के लिए ये क्रॉप्स मेनली उगाई जाती है वहां पर। ये उनका फूड है कैटल्स का। देन इट इज फॉलोड बाय द कल्टीवेशन ऑफ पोटैटो बिटवीन अक्टूबर एंड दिसंबर। अक्टूबर एंड दिसंबर में वहां पे पोटैटो का कल्टीवेशन होता है। इन द विंटर सीजन, दैट इज रबी, फील्ड्स आर सोन विद द व्हीट that we have also discussed. From the wheat produced, farmers keep enough wheat for the family's consumption and sell the surplus wheat to the at the market Raiganj. So there is a market in the Raiganj. Raiganj we have discussed in the very first slide, that in very first class few days back, where we have seen the Raiganj was the nearest village, a big village near to the Palampur. So there is a market, crop market. So whatever production is there of wheat, यानी कि wheat का जो भी production होता है farmers का, उसमें से वो एक पार्ट अपनी फैमिली के लिए रखते हैं और जो बाकी बच जाता है वो रायगंज में जाकर बेच देते हैं और उससे मनी अर्न करते हैं। A part of the land area is also devoted to the sugarcane, which is harvested once every year. Sugarcane in its raw form or as jaggery is sold to the traders in Shahpur. Shahpur was the nearest town of Palampur. So जैगरी जैगरी वी नो गुड़ जिसे हम बोलते हैं हिंदी में, तो जैगरी को बेचते हैं या तो शुगर कैन को बिल्कुल रॉ फॉर्म में शाहपुर में जाकर ट्रेडर्स को बेच दिया जाता है। तो दो क्रॉप्स का यहाँ पे दिखाया गया कि पालमपुर में सेल किए जा रही है। मेजर दो क्रॉप्स के बारे में यहाँ पे बताया गया है। वीट का जो वीट बच जाता है, सरप्लस मतलब जो एक्स्ट्रा बच गया, और शुगर कैन को रॉ फॉर्म में, यानी कि जैसा शुगर कैन हार्वेस्ट होता है, कट होता है, वैसा का वैसा ही वो, या तो उसे कुछ लोग गुड़ में कन्वर्ट करके, जैगरी में कन्वर्ट करके फिर वो शाहपुर में सेल आउट कर देते हैं। देन द रीजन वी हैव आल्सो डिस्कस्ड, व्हाट इज द रीजन बिहाइंड this growth or this production in the Palampur. The reason is, the main reason why farmers are able to grow 3 different crops in a year in Palampur is due to the well developed system of irrigation. So the irrigation is very much well developed. Electricity came early to the Palampur. The reason of the development of Palampur is well developed system of irrigation, and the well developed system of irrigation is because of good electricity supply. तो अच्छी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सप्लाई है, इसकी वजह से पालमपुर में इरिगेशन अच्छा हो रहा है, और इरिगेशन अच्छा हो रहा है तो वहां पे फार्मिंग भी बहुत अच्छे से हो पा रही है। Its major impact was to transform the system of irrigation. Persian wheels were till then used by the farmers to draw water from the wells and irrigate the small fields. तो स्मॉल फील्ड्स, छोटी छोटी फील्ड्स इरिगेट हो पाती थी पहले, क्योंकि पर्शियन व्हील्स जो होते हैं वो बहुत ही स्मॉल पीस ऑफ लैंड को इरिगेट कर पाते हैं। उसको रिप्लेस कर दिया गया और इलेक्ट्रिक करंट ट्यूबवेल्स आ गए। इलेक्ट्रिक करंट ट्यूबवेल्स आने की वजह से वहां पे इरिगेशन फास्ट हो गया। Then you can see here, people saw that the electric current tubes could irrigate much larger area of land more effectively. The first few tube wells were installed by the government. Soon, however, farmers started setting up private tube wells. As a result, by mid-1970s, the entire cultivated area of 200 hectares was irrigated. So the entire area which was cultivable, that means on which crops can be grown, it was also irrigated. That means proper water supply was also installed at that land. तो फार्मर्स को पहले जो नया सिस्टम था इरिगेशन का, ट्यूबवेल्स का, इलेक्ट्रिक ट्यूबवेल्स का, वो कुछ फार्मर्स को गवर्नमेंट ने इंस्टॉल करके दिया स्टार्टिंग में। फिर धीरे धीरे फार्मर्स ने देखा कि इसमें काफी ज्यादा फायदा है, तो उन्होंने खुद से ही उसे स्टार्ट किया सेट करना, और धीरे धीरे वहां पे जो पूरा जो लैंड था, जो कल्टिवेबल था, यानी जिसपे एग्रीकल्चर हो सकता था, उस पूरे लैंड पे इरिगेशन फैसिलिटी को भी उन्होंने इंस्टॉल कर लिया, सेटअप कर लिया। Then one box is given this. Not all villages in India have such high level of irrigation. Apart from the riverine plains, coastal regions in our country are well irrigated. In constant plateau regions such as Deccan Plateau have low level of irrigation. Of the total cultivated area in the country, a little less than 40% is irrigated even today. In the remaining area, farming is largely dependent on rainfall. So you can say the manual irrigation, or the irrigation which is installed by the human, that irrigation facility is not available to every village still today in India, and only less than 40% of the village are having proper irrigation system. Rest remaining 60% of them are still depending on rainfall. So the riverine, that means the villages or the areas which are near to the river, they have good facilities of irrigation, and the areas which are near to the coastal areas, those have good facility of irrigation. Rest remaining, when they don't have proper irrigation facility, they have to depend on farming. That rainfall. To grow more than one crop on a piece of land during the year is known as multiple cropping, that we have studied in the slide. It is the most common way of increasing production on a given piece of land. All farmers in Palampur grow at least 2 main crops. Many are growing potato as third crop in the past 15 to 20 years. So the main 2 crops that they are growing is wheat, and here it is given. So they are growing 2 main crops, and the third crop is that potato. So some of them are growing wheat and bajra, Some of them are growing wheat and sugarcane, and the third crop that they are growing, it is of potato. So these are the four crops which are grown in the Palampur, that we have already discussed in our slide, that to grow crops at the same piece of land, to grow more than one crops at the same piece of land, it is known as multiple farming. See, this one table is given in your book, and this graph is also given. And to give you example, the very first, you can say the bar is plotted on the graph already. And as you can see, in the year 1915, the cultivated area was 120 hectares. Here, the in 1950, the bar is going till 120. And according to that only, you have to plot in 1960, 70, 80, 90, and 2000. So in 1960, it the bar will come between somewhere. This it will be like that, between the 140 and 120. So that will be the bar. And when we say in 1970, it will be from here, it will come like this. And in all the years after 1970, the same kind of decline, it will be of 140. So we can see the land area under the, you can say under the cultivation, was 120 in 1950, then it become 130 in 1960, and in 1970 it become 140. And since 1970 there has been no increase in cultivated area in Palampur. So this graph shows that. You should plot this in your book itself. There is one more activity that you have to do in your book. I will tell you. This is the table given. You have to write down the name of crop, month in which they are sown in, and month in which they are harvested in, and sources of irrigation that are available. So we have to write down the name of crops which are grown in Palampur. So the crops we have seen: wheat is grown, jowar bajra is grown, sugarcane is grown, potato is grown. So any three crops you have to write down, and you have to write down the details of it. So it is another, you can say, activity that you have to complete in your book. Now here, another, this question is given: is it important to increase the area under irrigation, and why? This question is also your homework, and you will have to do this in your homework notebook. That is it important to increase the area under irrigation? And yes, it is important. Then you have to tell why it is important. So that is your homework. And here we are talking about HYV seeds that we have discussed in our slide. The modern farming method include all these things, that is improved tools and improved, you can say, method of irrigation and HYV seeds. And when we put together all tools of modern farming, the area under irrigation is also increased. You have seen that one way of increasing production from the same land is by multiple cropping. The other way is to use modern farming methods for high yield. Yield is measured as crop produced on a given piece of land during a single season. Till the mid 1960s, the seeds used in cultivation were traditional seeds, ones with a relatively low yield. So traditional seeds, the normal seeds which have low yield, that seeds were used till 1960. And in the, you can say, in the late 1960s, the green revolution was introduced, and the green revolution was mainly the introduction of high yielding variety seeds. And when these seeds were introduced to the farmers started using these seeds, and they have seen the drastic change in production. So the Green Revolution in the late 1960s introduced the Indian farmers to the cultivation of wheat and rice using high-yielding variety of seeds compared to the traditional seeds. The HYV seeds promise to produce much greater amount of grains on a single plant. As a result, the same piece of land would now produce far larger quantities of food grains than was possible earlier. HYV seeds, however, needed plenty of water and also chemical fertilizers and pesticides. So when we talk about green revolution, this was a revolution which was done in the you can say late 1960s. Basically, this was started with the only one crop, that was wheat. Slowly, the H5 seeds of rice were also introduced. Then when people saw the benefit of H5 seeds, then also it was introduced in the you can say that is pulses. So slowly it was introduced in the wheat, rice, and pulses. But initially, it was limited to only the production of wheat and rice. So when H5 seeds were introduced, the farmers saw drastic change, वेरियस बहुत ज़्यादा चेंज देखा उन्होंने कि जैसे ही H5 सीड्स को यूज करना स्टार्ट किया ना, जो उनके जो प्रोडक्शन आ रहा था, यानी कि पहले अगर एक हेक्टर से एग्जांपल दिया हुआ है हमारी बुक में 1300 हेक्टर आ रहा था, तो अब 3200 टन आ रहा है. पहले अगर 1300 टन आ रहा था एक हेक्टर से, तो अब 3200 टन आ रहा है. तो यानी कि नियरली 2.5 टाइम्स जो है प्रोडक्शन बढ़ गया H5 सीड्स के इंट्रोडक्शन से. बट इनकी एक लिमिटेशन थी कि H5 सीड्स को बहुत ही प्रॉपर केयर चाहिए, और अगर वो केयर उन्हें नहीं मिली तो क्रॉप्स विल डाई, क्रॉप्स प्रॉपरली सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाएंगे. तो उनको हाई यील्डिंग वैरायटी सीड्स को प्रॉपर इरिगेशन फैसिलिटी रिक्वायर्ड है. दे रिक्वायर प्रॉपर फर्टिलाइजर्स, प्रॉपर पेस्टिसाइड्स. Pesticides to produce best results, higher yield were possible only from the combination of H5 seeds, irrigation, chemical fertilizer, and pesticides. So you should underline this. It is important. That should be underlined. The cultivation, or you can say it was only possible when high yielding variety seeds were combined with proper irrigation, chemical fertilizer, and pesticides. Otherwise, the cultivation was not possible. Farmers of Punjab, Haryana, and Western Uttar Pradesh were the first to try out the modern farming method in India. The farmers in these regions set tube wells for irrigation and made of H5 seeds, chemical fertilizer, and pesticides in the farming. Some of them brought from farm machinery like tractors and threshers, which were made plugging and harvesting faster. They were rewarded with the high yields of wheat. So all these modern techniques of farming they have installed in their farm, and that was the reason that they have seen increase in production and higher yield in the field. तो ये सारी मॉडर्न टेक्निक्स उन्होंने अपने फार्म में इंस्टॉल की, उसी की वजह से उन्हें ज़्यादा प्रोडक्शन देखने को मिला. प्रोडक्शन जो मैंने अभी आपको बताया 1300 kg अगर पर हेक्टर प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, तो वो 3200 पर kg हेक्टर प्रोड्यूस होने लगा, जिसकी वजह से नियरली 2.5 टाइम्स का इंक्रीज देखने को मिला. ये सिर्फ और सिर्फ H5 सीड्स की वजह से हुआ. तो ये H5 सीड्स को और उसके साथ जो दूसरे कॉम्बिनेशंस हैं मॉडर्न टूल्स के, पेस्टिसाइड्स के, फर्टिलाइजर्स के, इसी पूरे कॉम्बिनेशन को मॉडर्न फार्मिंग कहते हैं. तो हमें अगर प्रोडक्शन बढ़ाना है तो हमें दो तरीके हम अपना सकते हैं. पहला मल्टीपल क्रॉपिंग जो हमने पहले पढ़ा, एंड दूसरा मॉडर्न फार्मिंग. सो टुडे वी हैव स्टडीड दैट हाउ फार्मिंग इज डन इन Palampur, and when we have talked about the farming in Palampur, we have discussed major two things related to the farming. One, land is fixed. That area under the land was fixed since 1970s. We have seen graph also. And another, that is there any way that one can grow more crops on the single piece of land, on the same piece of land. So we have seen two methods. One was of multiple cropping, and another one was of modern farming. So these two methods were for the increasing production on the same field of land. So these were the topics that we have discussed today. I will be sending some of the questions related to these topics as assignment you should do in your homework notebook. Thank you.